barring catastrophe, isn't Alabama a lock to make the playoffs?
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back into Locked On Bama, AHSA Radio Network's Luke Robinson. That's me. Alabama internet legend Jimmy Stein. That's him. This episode is brought to you by, well, I don't remember. Game Time is brought to you by Game Day.
One of our favorites.
One of our faves. Want to thank you every day for being here every day. Thank you, newbies, for being here today. And thanks, everybody, for making this your first listen every single day. You guys are the absolute best, and we mean it. So, Jimmy, looking through the schedule and looking at what's coming up the next few weeks for literally everybody, I mean, barring something bananas, it's going to be tough for Alabama not to make the playoffs. Now, the caveat and the asterisks and all that being, assuming Ty Simpson doesn't get hurt, or assuming, Jeremy Bernard doesn't get hurt, or something like that, which those things do happen. But, I mean, I'm looking at LSU, and I'm looking at the turmoil, and there's some folks that are saying, hey, LSU may play us even tougher with a new coach because they may want to play hard for that new coach. I would be more inclined to believe that if, say, Auburn fired Hugh Freeze and DJ Durkin took over, because I think DJ Durkin would literally be coaching for his job, and I think there are some players who would want him to get that job. The guy taking over for LSU on this interim basis ain't getting that job. I don't care what he does. He ain't getting this job. They're not firing somebody for $53 million and this big name that has been to national championship games, and then hiring some dude that I'm not even sure what his name is right now.
Yeah, Frank Wilson. Yeah.
Frank Wilson, yeah.
Yeah. He's a good recruiter and has been kind of a big significant part of that program. But I agree with you. There is no reality in which Frank Wilson gets a job. Now, I'm not sure that LSU's players know that or realize that. And I'm sure a lot of players on the team love the guy and would like to see him be the head coach. But that's never going to happen in a million years, even if LSU plays really, really well down the stretch. They're going to make a splashy hire of some sort, and obviously I think Lane Kiffin's at the top of the list. But in terms of Alabama making the playoff, and you asked, are they a lock? Well, no, not a lock, but the path may not be as treacherous as it once seemed. There are 4 games left. You've only got 1 lost. You're going to beat Eastern Illinois. Alabama's going to beat Eastern Illinois. I know Nick Saban would hate to hear me say that, and Kalen DeBoer is probably that way too about not assuming wins. but Eastern Illinois is an FCS team, and I don't even think they're one of the best FCS teams. I mean, Alabama's highly likely to win that game as a 40-type point favorite. So we won't talk about that one. The other 3, they're all losable. They're all losable. You LSU and Oklahoma and Auburn, especially at Auburn, have significant dudage to beat you. They can beat you, and those are games Alabama's going to have to play well to win. Now, how many of them do they have to win? They could, in my mind, they could clearly lose 1 and still get in. I think in 10-2, playing the schedule Alabama's played, that Alabama would be a lock to get in with just 1 additional loss. I think the question is, could they get in with 2 additional losses and finish 9-3? One thing I'll point out about that is they didn't last year, but this year the committee has been required to take the schedule and who you beat into account. Alabama would actually have a better chance at 9-3 to make the field than they did last year, and they just barely, they were the last team out last year, and in my opinion, and in many people's opinions, should have been in anyway over SMU. I mean, so last year was close. This year at 9-3, they would have an even better case. That said, you look around the nation, though, it's not just about Alabama. It's Alabama compared to everyone else. Right now, it's hard to imagine a 9-3 team getting in because so many teams either have 0 or 1 loss or 2 losses and are likely to win out. I don't know that any 9-3 team is getting in. And I said before the season that, hey, everybody, this will be the year a 9-3 at large makes it. I was adamant that was true. I still think it could be true. But based on the landscape right now and where everybody sits in the standings with their win-loss records, right now it's kind of hard to imagine a 9-3 team getting in. So my advice to Alabama, and we know they listen to the show, of course they do. My advice is
Be stupid not to.
Don't lose more than one. And I'd prefer you not lose any. But if you are going to lose, do it just once. And I think that they're in the playoff, which will be a significant achievement for
Huge.
two of the Kalen DeBoer era. We said before the season, what does Kalen DeBoer have to do? We said he really needs to make the playoff. We didn't say he really needs to win the SEC. He really needs to finish 11-1. He really needs to get to the playoff and win it. Those things would be great. Those things would be nice. And those things are very possible. But in terms of what needs to happen, there's needs and wants, right? What needs to happen is Alabama make the playoff under Kalen DeBoer. I think if they do that, I think a box is checked and you just keep trying to build, again, the best program in the country.
Yeah, and I'm looking at some of these, and I think you're right. You and I were pretty adamant at the beginning of the season. Hey, look, 9-3 is getting in Alabama in this year based on the schedule. Now, obviously, there have been some twists and turns. South Carolina wasn't what people thought, but Missouri was better. And that road win that road win sort of takes the place of South Carolina.
Yep.
Georgia is what we thought they were. Vanderbilt is better than people thought, and people were in love with them before the season. So, some things have taken some turns. But we thought this LSU game was going to be this monster clash. By the way, that game is going to be at 6:30 on ABC. So I'm glad it's a Saturday night. I'm assuming it'll be a big recruiting weekend. We'll talk about recruiting in the next segment. And it'll be a good atmosphere. And then it wouldn't shock me at all if Oklahoma were at night. Even though Alabama, Oklahoma, I believe is the same weekend as Texas, Georgia, I think.
I think that's right.
I don't know which one. I don't know how they'd want to do that. But
we'll see how big Texas, Georgia. Vanderbilt beats Texas. Then Georgia, Texas.
That might be on the Bravo network. So,
by the way, I don't think that'll happen. I think Texas will win.
I feel like Texas will win too, but I feel like this could be a Pyrrhic victory. Win the battle, lose the war, because what's going to happen is this kid from Auburn who came in from Auburn High School is going to probably start throwing some darts. And you're going to see some of these receivers really start looking a lot better than they have. And he's going to be more consistent than Arch Manning, probably not press as hard as Arch Manning. And Arch Manning's probably going to be out this weekend, and that's going to start off a whole new thing of controversy. But regardless, I'm looking at like Texas A&M. Texas A&M, they're undefeated. The remaining schedule is at Missouri without Bo Pribula, South Carolina at home, Samford at home, and then at Texas. I don't see how they're not at least a 7-point favorite in every game, and I'm including at Texas. Now Texas may get some Texas bump points, but I'm taking A&M if it's 7 or less. I can tell you that. I think they're a lot better team than Texas right now. So, and then you look at somebody like, I'm looking at the standings for the SEC, just thinking about the teams that'll get in from this league. Ole Miss. Ole Miss's remaining schedule ain't much. At Mississippi State is probably their toughest remaining game.
It's very difficult to imagine Ole Miss and Texas A&M, and I might go so far as to include Georgia and Alabama.
I was going to say Texas, Bama, Ole Miss, Georgia. Now, not Texas A&M, Bama, Ole Miss, Georgia. There's 4. There's going to be at least 2 Big Tens, at least, and I'm going to say 3.
Probably 3.
Okay.
Probably 3.
So there's 7. Mm-hmm. I'm going to assume at this point Notre Dame wins out. If they went out, they're in.
Yeah, I agree.
There's 8.
Right.
ACC is getting at least 1, and I'm going to say 2 unless Georgia Tech falls apart.
Yeah, 1 or 2 there.
So that's, what is that? That's 10. You got a group of 5 makes 11, and we still got to get the Big 12. Yeah. So there's your 12.
I think whether the 5th SEC team, this is going to be the question. It's the 5th SEC team versus a 2nd ACC or Big 12 team, which I'm guessing right now would be the loser of Miami versus Georgia Tech in the ACC championship game, if that happens. The loser of Texas Tech BYU, assuming that happens in the Big 12 championship, versus the 5th SEC team, whoever that is. But hey, if you're Alabama, here's the thing: stay in that top 4. Stay in that top 4. You don't want to be the 5th SEC team, because that's going to be a heck of an argument against that second ACC or second Big 12. Keep in mind, I don't think the committee wants to punish teams for losing in that championship game if they otherwise would have been in. That, hey, we're in. The only reason we fell out is because we lost the conference championship game. They didn't do that with SMU a year ago. They should have. They should have, but they didn't. And that might be a signal that, hey, we never want a team to consider the very notion that, hey, we qualified to play in this conference championship game, but we don't want to play in it because we could lose and it would knock us out of the playoff. Let's see if we can forfeit, or what do we need to do to avoid that scenario happening to us. So I don't think the committee is going to be eager to knock teams out for losing in the conference championship game. So, boy, being that 5th SEC team this year, dangerous territory. But it is possible. It is possible the SEC gets in 5.
Some other just rocks in the road. Virginia at 7-1. Yeah, their remaining games are at Cal, Wake Forest, at Duke, and Virginia Tech. Okay, at Duke is no gimme. And, they almost lost to North Carolina this weekend. Probably should have, to be honest with you. But
it's still Virginia. I feel like they could lose all those games because it's Virginia. But I've been underestimating them every week. There's teams I've been underestimating all year. Virginia's at the top of the list.
Now, Miami, they have at SMU this weekend, which, by the way, like the ACC people tweeted out, the ACC huddle is coming to Dallas, and somebody responded, what the hell is the ACC huddle? It's like their SEC game day,
It is their it's their SEC game day, and I've flipped it on before just to say that I've seen it.
Gotta be bad. Well,
that's just not my favorite collection of TV personalities that they've got going on over there. I do think it's it's game day and SEC Nation are equally great to me, but it's quite the fall.
There's no personality. But anyway, all right. So Miami's at SMU. That's no gimme. Then they got Syracuse at home. They should handle that. They should beat NC State at home. Then at Virginia Tech and at Pitt. And let me tell you something. Miami might mess around and not even make the conference title game. And if they don't, I think this becomes. I would say they're out, even though they've got a win over Florida State. They've got a win over Notre Dame. They've got a win over Florida, and people point to those. But what's happened, Florida State and Florida have betrayed Miami. They've gotten them, indirectly. So it's wild. And we can even
lose. If they lose at Pitt or at SMU, maybe they shouldn't be in the playoff.
100%, because SMU they just lost to Wake Forest.
They're not great teams. They're not even really top 25 teams.
Yeah, I agree. Let's talk a little FanDuel now, because FanDuel is the best. Y'all love FanDuel. I love FanDuel. We all love FanDuel. So FanDuel, the NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game or want to ride that hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at bigger payouts. Keep it exciting every game with FanDuel, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets with your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com, sign up and play, and use that FanDuel and use that extra money any way you want to. The official sports betting partner of the NBA. Okay, so we were going to jump into something else, and we will, but I did want to do the latest playoff projections. And this is just a collection of several. Andy Staples has Alabama as the 4 seed, meaning they'd win the SEC, and they play the winner of Georgia and Memphis in the Cotton Bowl. Brett McMurphy has Alabama the 4 seed, playing the winner of Georgia Memphis in the Orange Bowl. Heather Dinich has them the 3 seed, playing the winner of Ole Miss and Georgia Tech. Brad Crawford of CBS has them the 2 seed, playing the winner of BYU Notre Dame in the Sugar Bowl. Now that would be something. Scott Duchterman of The Athletic has the 4 seed, Alabama 4 seed, playing the winner of Georgia Tulane. Pat Forty, the 6 seed, playing Georgia Tech in Tuscaloosa in the first round. And Bill Bender of the Sporting News has them the 2 seed playing the winner of Miami Vandy, which would also be incredibly interesting. But the bottom line is, and the reason we did that last segment was, unless Alabama loses 2 more regular season games, which isn't crazy, but I think it's unlikely considering 3 of them are at home. One of them's against Eastern Illinois. One of them's already fired their coach. Oklahoma may be on the verge of firing their coach if they lose at Tennessee, and then no telling where Auburn's going to be. Even if here's what's interesting though. What if Alabama loses to, say, Auburn? Again, everybody's going to say, you're so Auburn obsessed, whatever. I'm just saying it could happen.
Could happen.
What if that happens and then they lose in the SEC title game?
Again, I think losing in the conference championship game, I think the committee is going to be very not eager.
Forgiving.
They're going to. I don't think they're going to ever punish anyone. If you're in without having to play in that conference championship game, then I think you're going to be in most likely. Now, do I want to test it? No, I don't want to test it. You mentioned Tennessee, Oklahoma a second ago. We're talking about the 5th SEC team. Here's another thing that's hard to imagine as good as the SEC has been this year, Luke. The Tennessee, Oklahoma winner.
Out.
The winner.
No, winner.
Loser out for sure.
Yeah, loser out. Yeah.
Winner may be out.
Yeah, 100%.
You could win that game. You could win. Tennessee could win that Oklahoma game and win out and finish 10-2 and not be in the playoff, losing out to some second ACC team or second Big 12 team. Which
because they can't.
Kind of outrageous. You
can't put them in over A&M. Assuming A&M just even has 1 loss. But even with 2 losses, I'm not sure you can put them in over A&M. A&M's got better wins. You can't put them in over Georgia. Georgia went head-to-head. You can't put them over Bama. They went head-to-head. You can't put them in over Ole Miss. They'll have a better record, again, barring catastrophe. So there's 4 SEC teams you cannot put them in ahead of.
An SEC team like Tennessee finishing 10-2, only losses to Georgia and Alabama, and not making the playoff field. Oof.
Well, my advice is don't play Syracuse. If Tennessee had played Notre Dame, like Texas A&M did, then we'd have a debate. But if what you need to do, if you're Tennessee, you better pull like heck for Alabama, Georgia, and Vandy to win out. Pull like heck, because otherwise,
if Tennessee beats Oklahoma, they may not.
Yeah, that's true. I think they will though.
I think they will too,
because I think Oklahoma's they're teetering.
I think the cumulative effect of their schedule, which is just absolutely brutal, their schedule, particularly down the back half of it, it's just too many. Beating really good SEC teams on the road is very difficult.
It's difficult. And
Tennessee is very good.
So sick of Big Ten folks discounting that too. Like, well, maybe the SEC just isn't good all the way around. Look, I don't understand why it's so hard to take in the metric that who has more future NFL players.
Yeah,
who does?
Yeah, it's like the NFL has some sort of SEC bias.
You know what I thought the other day when A'Shawn Robinson almost got in a fight with an offensive lineman from the Buffalo Bills? I thought if A'Shawn Robinson ever looked at me like that, I would just go immediately into the fetal position and just pray nothing happened. But this guy was like standing right up to A'Shawn, and I was like, the NFL's full of dudes like that. Yeah. It's full of dudes who are all badasses. And most of them come from the SEC.
Who would win a fight between whoever, because I don't keep up with that sport, like the UFC heavyweight champion of the world versus A'Shawn Robinson?
I know where my money would be.
I think I would take A'Shawn.
Oh, 100%.
And I'm sure some UFC people have just wrecked
they're losing their mind
at us. They don't know anything. And A'Shawn, I'm sure it's just very difficult for me to imagine A'Shawn Robinson losing a fight to someone that would be scientifically considered another human being. I mean, I think you'd have to be,
Yeah, for A'Shawn, UFC stands for
half dinosaur.
You freaking cold cocked. I just not you freaking concussed. That's what it is. So, all right, let's talk for a second about recruiting, and here's why. With the LSU changes and the imminent changes for some other places, it looks like a lot of people are wondering, okay, will Alabama get back on this guy? I've seen Lamar Brown, who is a big defensive lineman committed to LSU. Alabama was in on him a little bit, whatever. Zion Ely went to the South Carolina game, and there was some hubbub on Bama online. Somebody was like, "Oh, Zion Ely was there. Maybe he was there to check out us." I don't think so. But Tim Watts and Andrew Bone, I believe, have come out and said, "Look, if Alabama's going after anybody else, it's probably not high school. Their class is pretty set, but they will look at, okay, what does LSU have in terms of dudes we may want on this team that are sophomores or true freshmen right now or juniors or whatever that can contribute to Alabama next year." And, that'll be the case for everybody, but it hits different when your coach is in flux.
And I hope everyone remembers, and I know this is such a wet blanket to hear, but I hope everyone remembers that we have, in essence, what is amount to a salary cap. And that controls the whole situation. We don't know as fans, we're not privy to the financial information. We just have to remember that there is a salary cap of sorts, the revenue share number. You can't go over on rev share. That's going to act to even things out. And there could be players Alabama wants, they simply can't afford. Other kids might say, hey, you know what? I think rev share and NIL, I'm worth $500,000. I understand you only have room for 150. I want to play for Alabama that bad. I'll take the 150. So you don't know until you ask and you negotiate. So I imagine you're going to be kicking the tires on a lot of guys, but you still have to fit them under that rev share cap. And again, you can promise extra NIL money, but all NIL deals have to be approved by NIL Go. So the financial situation as it relates to recruiting has vastly changed. The rules of the game are vastly different, and it is going to affect Alabama's ability and everyone else's to get players on the roster that you want, recruiting or transfer portal. And I say that just simply because the high school class is sort of full. Now any money you have left over for next year probably comes from how many juniors leave, how many seniors are leaving and freeing up money, how many juniors are going to enter the draft. Obviously, a junior like, let's just say, Caden Proctor makes pretty good money at Alabama. We can be assured. So him leaving, that's going to free up some money. But as fans, we just have to think in those terms and not just, hey, I want this guy and I want this guy and I want this guy. Well, the money has to work or there's just not any room.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Money is always a driving factor. I'll say this, though. Apparently, Lane Kiffin said the other day, hey, look, or maybe at the beginning of the year, like, money won't determine where I go next. Of course, he wasn't talking about getting $13 million versus $12 million and paying no state tax if he were in Florida at that point. Going to talk a little game time now because it's the best. And Jimmy and I use it. Jimmy's going to be using it for a concert, he said. Mm-hmm. And he guaranteed it. College football is back. I couldn't be more excited. The tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stands. There's just nothing like it. But let's be real. Actually getting tickets can feel more like a battle than the game itself. Endless queues, hidden fees, and jumping prices at checkout. Crazy stuff. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to the fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees. What you see is what you pay. So take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE. That's all one word for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE, $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today and be happy about it. All right, so this may seem like I'm getting ahead of myself and all of us by a long shot, but in our little group chat yesterday, I just, for whatever reason, since it's the off week, I thought, hey, it'd be kind of fun to think about where the games and dates will be for next year's Alabama schedule. We know who we're playing. We don't know all the dates. Now, we know September 5th is ECU. We know September 12th is USF, South Florida. And we know 9/19.
Will USF have a new coach?
God, I hope so.
I'll say yes. I think Alex Golish.
I'm going to tell you, I hope so, because that dude can coach.
I think Golish will get one of these jobs.
Now, then we know that the Auburn game will be the last game of the year, which is 11/28, last regular season game. we believe, and I see no reason to think it won't be, that Tennessee will be the third Saturday in October, which will be 10/17, October 17th. And I also believe LSU will continue to be where it falls on the schedule, which will be the week after Halloween. That'll be November 7th. So a lot of those are locked in. Let me see what you think about this schedule. I put this together, and it's very difficult to make it work because with 5 away games, you could have a long string of away games. But here's what I put together. So you start off with East Carolina, then South Florida, then Florida State. Then I put Georgia at home. I don't like it. I don't think they'll do that to us, meaning we play Florida State and Georgia back to back, even though both of them are at home. I don't think that's going to happen. So here's what I'm going to do just off the bat. I'm going to put at Mississippi State number 1. And I like it because, number 1, it's a winnable game. Number 2, actually, let me swap that up. I'll go at Kentucky number 1.
Winnable
because that's a winnable
games.
game. That's a
winnable road games are gold.
Yeah.
In the SEC going forward. Winnable road games. There's your gold.
So at Kentucky, start off the bat.
Yep. I like it.
Then we come back and play Georgia. Okay. A little difficult, but then we play Texas A&M at home.
Yikes.
Difficult. Then we're at Tennessee.
Yikes.
Then we got South Carolina at home. Okay, I can live with that. Then you're idle. Now, here's where things get a little funky. And I think I'm going to have to swap some things up, but it could be at LSU, at Vandy, at Mississippi State, Auburn at home. That's 3 straight away games. And I don't think they do that. So I'm wondering if I should put like at Mississippi State after Kentucky, or at Vandy after at Kentucky, then move after Georgia, and then move Texas A&M to the game after LSU. But wherever you do this, I mean, you're going to have a game where you have like either Georgia and Texas A&M back-to-back, or LSU, Georgia back-to-back, or Tennessee, Texas A&M back-to-back. I mean, there's no getting around it. It's going to be hell next year. It's going to be tough.
And it will be for everybody throughout the league. I mean, I think when the schedule comes out, we're going to look at all 16 schedules and go, oof.
How are you going to win any? Yeah.
How is anybody going to survive this? And the league, we're looking at it right now. This league has been insane this year with only the 8 conference games. When it moves to 9 and you're still playing an additional Power 5 opponent, for that 10th tough game, goodness gracious. It really is a lot of NFL level parity, especially in our league. And I do think when the schedule is ultimately released from this exercise that Luke did, I think it's just proof that when that schedule comes out, we're all going to go, oh my gosh, this looks a bit daunting.
It's almost like, I wonder if the SEC has some buyer's remorse on this. Like,
it wasn't necessary. I don't believe it was necessary by myself, but maybe this was the way they want to expand the playoffs, and they thought if we don't do this, now we can expand the playoffs. But
and there's also more money. I mean, obviously, because they worked out something with Disney and to get more money.
There's your answer. Well, there's your answer, isn't it?
Yeah,
it was always going to be that. I mean, ESPN's got to be excited about that. We're dropping Alabama versus Eastern Illinois, and we're getting even Alabama versus Mississippi State, because
I do have a solution.
Better inventory for them.
I do have a solution. All right, so 9-5 Labor Day weekend is the first game that we have on the schedule. What if we worked out something where we played that week 0? What if we played at Kentucky week 0, or at Vandy, or they wouldn't let it be a marquee game. They wouldn't be like Bama, Georgia week 0. They wouldn't do that. But what if you played at Mississippi State week 0? Okay. Then you get another idle mixed in. All of a sudden, I feel like, okay, it works out.
Kind of need 2 bye weeks with that kind of schedule, because next year, the way the calendar falls, by the way, for everybody, next year, the way the calendar falls, it's true, you only get 1 bye week next year. Right?
Yeah, which stinks. I mean, it's the worst time we could ever have just 1 bye.
I just know under the current rules, I mean, I get what you're saying, and maybe they'll change the rules because rules like this can easily be changed. But under the current rules, we can't play on week 0. You can only play on week 0 if you have a road game against Hawaii. Everybody has an extra game who's playing a road game against Hawaii, or a waiver like the game in Ireland. You got a waiver. Maybe they'll change that rule because I do think, like what Luke is saying, boy, when the schedule's that tough, 2 bye weeks sound a whole lot better than 1.
Yeah. I mean, I don't see, and I've been trying to like do the math on it, but when you already have some of them set, like if we could move the Auburn game around or move the Tennessee game around, okay, I can figure out some things here. Or maybe we don't take that idle week before we go to LSU. Maybe we take it somewhere else. But boy, just trying to play with the dates, I don't envy whoever's going to do this, because I'm going to tell you something. Whoever makes the dates for all these games, everybody's going to be mad at them. You know what I mean?
I say make Brian Kelly do it.
Brian Kelly is just the worst. I mean, he's just the worst. By the way, somebody took a picture of him. He's at Superior Grill, like just eating dinner like by himself.
I've eaten there about 5 times.
I love Superior. There used to be one in Birmingham, and
there used to be, and it closed down. But yeah, we've eaten at the Superior Grill in Baton Rouge 4 or 5 times.
Yeah, they jacked the rent up apparently at that one in Superior Grill. They're like, all right, we just won't have one anymore. And then they closed down Casino, which was at Brookwood Mall, which was awesome too. And now, here I am. Luke's always the loser. Yeah. All right, that's going to do it for today's pod. We'll be back tomorrow with more. Until then, roll tide, everybody.
Roll tide.